Hi. Hi, I'm Dr. Patton. I'm your instructor for this class. You probably know that if you saw the first go at a video already, but hopefully this one you'll be able to understand. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about the layout of the course really quickly. A lot of you have taken the syllabus quiz already, and so one of the questions in the syllabus quiz is actually answered in this, which is probably why um, it seemed like it was tricking a lot of people. There are 4 exams. Each one is worth 100 points. Um, but your lowest exam is dropped. And so then you get 300 points from exams because your lowest one ends up going away. So, sorry, my chair is very noisy. That's one thing that you probably have seen already. In addition to those exams, well, actually, the way that the exams are laid out, it's going to be one exam every 2 weeks. So week 1, week 2, an exam. Week 3, week 4, an exam, and then it gets the pattern gets a little screwed up because it goes week 5, 6, 7, 2 exams. You'll have your actual exam that is the exam over those last 3 weeks of material, and the optional cumulative final that goes over the entire course. But again, it's optional. If you did really good on your first 3 exams, you don't need to take it if you're happy with the score that you have in the class. It'll go in as a 0 in that case, but then it gets dropped because it's the lowest one. If you are not happy with one of your grades, you can then take the optional final, and hopefully it would, you know, be higher than that one that you didn't like, and then you get that score. If it was me and I ended up with a pretty decent grade on all of the exams, I would still just take the optional final just to see if for some reason I got an even higher score. Because it's free, right? If you bomb it, it goes away. If you do really well, then it stays. So that should be nice. All right, so in addition to those exams, there's also a quiz at the end of each week. That goes over, all of the material for that week. So you're going to have 7 of those. And then after every short video section, there's going to be a couple questions. If you've taken courses with me before, this is what I'm using instead of PlayPosit. So if you remember PlayPosit, what it did was it would pause the video and ask you a question over what you were learning right that second, which is a cool way of just reinforcing important points. But like a lot of you might have noticed, PlayPosit was not working very well last semester, and the semester before that there were fewer problems, but there were some. So it seems like the problems are growing as time goes forwards. So I'm going to try to move away from PlayPosit, and instead what I've got set up is very short video and then a short quiz after the video. It's a 5-question quiz. There's absolutely no limit to the number of times you can take the quiz. So you should always get 100% on these. In addition to that, you only need to get 3 right out of the 5 to get 100%. I think you should try to get all 5 right, because those 5 are going to end up on the quiz. Well, any one of those 5 may end up on the quiz, and then any one of those questions from the quiz and some of the ones from the other questions after the videos may end up on the exams. So if you do well on all of the things, you will do well on the exam. But if you have a week where you're running short, you only need to get 3 right, and then you get full points for that section. So, and again, no limit to the number of times you can take it. Let's see, what else do we have going on in the course that you might need to know about? Oh, I remember. I wanted to tell you about the death whistle. This is called an Aztec death whistle. Let me get it close to, yeah, pretty good. So you can see that it's a skull. They're amazing. They're so cool. I mean, they sound terrible, but I think that's kind of the point of them, is to sound terrible, which is why they're cool. The history of these is amazing. I mean, it's mostly unknown, but the history of how we found out about them is really cool. I will tell you more during the course of the semester. One of the things you're going to learn is all about sound in the class, right? That's basically what we're learning about. It's speech science, but speech is sound, and so really we're learning about how sound works, what harmonics are, what formants are, and how do we analyze that sound, and what can we learn from it. So we're going to be, I'm going to teach you Pratt, or Prat actually, sorry, it's Dutch, it's pronounced Prat, and Wavesurfer, which is French, so it should actually be pronounced Wavesurfer. Kidding. And maybe I'll also teach Audacity. It's a program that I use. And what we'll do with those is look at speech signals and other sound signals, and we'll learn some things about what a consonant sound is, what does a speech sound look like. The Aztec death whistle, this is what it sounds like. I'm not totally sure if the microphone that I'm using captures how absolutely terrible this is, but it's terrible. You'll be able to use what we talk about in this class and all of the information, and you'll learn why that sounds so terrible. We'll have to bring in a little bit of hearing science to that as well to figure out why it sounds terrible. If you've had it, it'll be a little tiny review. If you haven't, it'll be like a little tiny taste of what you'll get in hearing science. But either way, it'll be a lot of fun. And like I said, you'll learn why that sound is so terrible. All right. Anything else I wanted to talk about? Well, I think in the last video, I showed you some of my research and how I use what we're going to learn in this class to look at research. I'm on a new computer now, so I don't have that file on my computer, but I'll just work it into one of the lectures, so it'll still be there. In fact, I think it might work a little bit better later on than now anyway. It's kind of an in-depth thing, and I think I might have been expecting you to have more background knowledge of speech sounds than you do. But as we progress through the course, you will have that knowledge, and you will be able to understand all of that research. In essence, what it is some of the research that I've been doing is looking at swear words, and they tend to use a certain group of speech sounds that don't get used as much in non-swear words. And there is a reliable characteristic, a reliable sound characteristic that's common to all of those syllables that isn't common to the syllables that aren't used as often in swear words. So hopefully that entices you, and we'll talk about it when we get further into the class. All right, so what I want to know from you in the discussion board is, oh, well, before I talk about this is your textbook, Preclinical Speech Science. This is my super old first edition of this book. I think we're on the third is what's officially required for the class. But go ahead and, I mean, if you want to get the third edition, get the third edition. If you want to get the first edition, you can get the first edition. You can also get the second edition. Make sure you don't get any of the workbooks accidentally, because they do have workbooks. They have, it's the same kind of, the cover hasn't changed. They've just changed the colors of it. It looks the same. But then there's a workbook for every one of these books. We're not using the workbook. I can come up with questions on my own, and so you don't have to buy it. Don't accidentally get a workbook and not a textbook. So go ahead and buy whatever level of textbook suits your financial situation. I think this one, I mean, I got this when it was expensive, but now it's like $5. There are some shipping problems lately, so if you're experiencing shipping problems, let me know, and I can make some PDFs for the first couple of weeks of what's going on with the textbook. It's also possible that you don't necessarily need it for the first couple of weeks. I mean, it is kind of a supplemental resource to the videos that you're going to see from me and Dr. Deliri. It's another thing I wanted to mention. Everybody at the ASU Speech and Hearing collaborate, and so it wouldn't be unusual for you to see videos from me, videos from Dr. Deliri, videos from Dr. Weinhold. We all teach the course, and so if somebody has a particularly good lecture of a topic, we will take that one instead of re-recording another one. So there's no reason to reinvent the lecture if one is really good. And then that way everybody in different sections gets the, close to the same instruction. So, all right. I think this first week I have 2 lectures that start out, and then most of the rest of them are Dr. Deliri, and then I'm going to come back in and teach you Prot, Wavesurfer, and possibly Audacity. My time for this week that I thought I was going to make that Audacity video is dwindling because of my uploading and internet issues, so we'll see. So that was your textbook. What I want to know from you in the get to know you guys is, what is your favorite book? If you don't read a whole lot, let me know your favorite podcast. But I mean, you can, if you read graphic novels, that's reading. What do you read there? If you listen to audiobooks, what audiobooks do you listen to? So my favorites are this, Altered Carbon by Richard K. Morgan. It's not really super close to the TV show on Netflix, so if you've seen that, this is a little different. I mean, it is still that like cool, like hard-boiled detective story, but there's a whole chunk of stuff that happens in the TV show that's like, where did it come from? It's much... I like the book better. I like the TV show. I like the book better. I haven't watched much of the second season, so if you're a fan of the show or the book, we should talk about that. I like their casting choices in the show. Second season, first season, everything, pretty much everybody they've chosen for every role is great. Then also, Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. This is possibly one of my favorite authors of all time. If you are not offended by things, you should read this, because it has I don't easily get grossed out or like wiggly about things, and this book has one of the only short stories that's ever made me feel like pretty. It's not really gory so much as it is disturbing, I guess. And I've read stories about when Chuck Palahniuk was going around reading his short stories to people at like small bookshops. It was not uncommon that people would faint when he would read that story. You'll know it when you read it. But again, if you're offended by anything, don't read it. It's super... well, anyway, make your choice. And then my last would be anything by Brandon Sanderson. Seems to be a winner. He's a great writer. Okay, so what is your favorite book or other media? Let me know. Some of you already have. And Sam and I are going to jump in, and I'm curious to see what Sam's picks are. Sam's your TA, by the way, Sam McGee. And then we'll just have a conversation with you about that for the rest of the week. Look forward to updated videos of the 2 that I've already posted later today, and also the Prot and Wavesurfer and possibly Audacity video coming soon. I'm also going to push our due dates back a little bit since we had some weirdness with getting everything started. All right, well, hopefully you're all safely at home, like I am. Although I guess for some of you who have taken a few classes with me, this is a great change of background from my concrete wall that I have in my office. So at least you have some different things to look at. All right. Well, I'll see you soon. If I can find the stop button there.